My brothers and sisters, you are now watching the Gamer 2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need! And I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, so Justice League. Justice League. Justice League, man. This is gonna be my little review, I guess, for Justice League. This was one of the most anticipated movies for this year. A lot of the DC fanboys was like, "Oh yeah, Justice League!" So I couldn't wait for Justice League. You know, I'm more so Team Marvel, so I'm waiting for that Infinity War. You feel what I'm talking about? But I'm not one of those Marvel fans. I like Marvel more than DC. I don't know if that's a secret or not. I know way more about Marvel, and I'm more into that world than the DC world. But I'm not one of those Marvel fanboys that's like, it's almost like DC fanboys and Marvel fanboys. It's just like the gaming community. Like, some people think that they can only play on PS4 or only Xbox or only Nintendo, and some DC fanboys think that they can only like DC, or some Marvel fanboys think they can only like I'm not one of those people. Like, there's nothing wrong with liking both. Due to the reviews that Justice League has been getting by the critics out there, I think on Rotten Tomatoes, last I checked, it was like at a 38%. But it's weird because, like, the review scores that this movie is getting from the critics compared to the audience score is like totally different. It seems like the critics didn't really like this movie, but the audience kind of liked it. So that's, again, another reason why you can't really, if it's review scores for movies, review scores for games, you can only take so much from it, because at the end of the day, you still have to watch or play that game or that movie for yourself to really construct your own opinion. And another thing, it always seems like, more so with DC movies, people never really know exactly what they want from DC movies, because Marvel has that stigma to where, to where the tone is lighter, there's more humor in their movies, a lot of good action scenes, and there's like a message behind it. But when it comes to DC, it's like people don't really know what they want from DC. Like, some people want those serious toned, dark, profound message action movie from DC, and some people want it to be like lighter, like how Marvel movies are. And I've always noticed that with DC, it seems like people never really know what they want from a DC movie. So there needs to be like that balance of, like, it takes itself seriously, but not too seriously, has that dark tone. But I don't know, but it seems like that's mainly for DC movies. Saying all that, I wrote down a couple of notes this was actually after the movie ended, when I saw it last night, but I wrote all this down when it was like fresh in my head on my phone, so I'm gonna just talk about some of the stuff that I liked about this movie, some of the stuff I didn't like about this movie. Before I hop into that, though, I do want to say that I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed Justice League. I thought it was a solid film. Again, I do think because I went into this movie with not high expectations, it did help. I think some people had their expectations really high, and because of that, you might have been disappointed a little bit. But I don't think there's no debate Justice League was better than Batman v Superman. Like, we all do agree on that, right? Like, I enjoyed Justice League way more than I enjoyed Batman v Superman. I thought the pacing in this movie, and I guess it kind of goes back to Batman v Superman, to where I just feel like this whole thing is rushed. A lot of the people thought that after Man of Steel, they should have did a sequel to Man of Steel. I don't even think Justice League should be happening right now. It should be like next year or like the year after. But we got to this point. So I think the whole Justice League thing was rushed. So, a lot of the times with, either Batman v Superman or, now this movie, it kind of feels like the pacing is too fast, because it's just like they're trying to throw in so many things to tell in this story. And it's just like, there's only so much you can do with the screen time given. I don't want to say the pacing was terrible, because it wasn't like Batman v Superman. It was nowhere near like that. I thought that was that movie's biggest issue, the pacing. I don't think I don't think the pacing in Justice League was terrible. I just felt like everything was going too fast. And what I mean by that is, like, as this movie's going on, it's just, it literally just felt like, hey, Aquaman, Cyborg, Flash, you guys want to join the Justice League? Sure, why not? I'll join. It's just like just like that. Like, that's how this team was formed. Like, it just felt like everything was just going too fast, and I wish they would have gave more screen time to Cyborg. Now, again, I'm not a DC fanboy. I don't know too much about DC and its characters, so like I said before, I have to take, things from different sections of how I got into the world of DC. Cyborg. Honestly, my intro into the world of DC growing up was probably Teen Titans. When Teen Titans was on Toonami, oh man, I loved that show. And Cyborg in Teen Titans, now when I think Cyborg, I just envision Cyborg being that way. The black, the black cyborg robot who's always cracking jokes, and he's like more of like, that, I don't want to call him a comic relief character. He's not like that, but he's cracking jokes, saying booyah and like all this different stuff. So when I think Cyborg, because I don't know too much about DC, I think Cyborg from Teen Titans. And the way he was in this movie, he was more serious. Like, he did have those light moments in this movie to where, he might be cracking jokes and stuff like that, but it wasn't like I thought it. Like, he was always wearing a hoodie, like, I don't trust you, get away from me. he was like that. So I'm like, is this how Cyborg is in like the comics? And I just don't know, because I don't know too much about DC. But again, I'm thinking about Teen Titans Cyborg, so I'm like, who is this character? But I did like Cyborg. I don't want to, make it seem like I did like what they did with Cyborg. I wish they would have gave him more screen time, and that's why I thought the pacing was too fast. Because you're putting in Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash. To the casual viewer, we don't really know and I'm gonna call myself a casual viewer when it comes to DC, because I don't know too much about DC. So for the casual viewers, like, who are these people? Like, they didn't get their own movie. Like, who are these? Who are these people? But for the DC, stans and fanboys, they know like what to look for. I don't really know what to look for. So I wish they would have gave more screen time to just Cyborg, like when it was just him, because we got that little, I guess, like sneak peek or Easter egg, whatever, in Batman v Superman, when we seen him getting made inside the lab. But they didn't really like, I wish they would have went into that in this movie. Like, they had some, parts of how he was explaining how he came to be, but it didn't really get in depth. Same thing with Aquaman. And again, I don't know too much about DC, so I gotta take, things from different sections of how I learned about these characters. The only my knowledge of Aquaman comes from Injustice. The Injustice games, like, from those stories. And Aquaman in those games, he's more like serious, like a righteous type character, like, yes, my lord. Something like that. So when I think Aquaman, I think of how he is in the Injustice stories. That's what I have to go off on, because I don't know too much about these DC characters. But this Aquaman with Jason Momoa, I think, he was way more like jokey than I thought. I thought like Flash was going to be the comic relief in this movie, and yeah, he was, but like, I didn't expect Aquaman. I thought Aquaman was going to be like more serious, like almost like Batman, kind of. That's just of how I thought he was going to be. But he was way more like joking around and stuff like that. He was really only serious, and this isn't a spoiler because we all seen this. The only time he was serious is when, Bruce Wayne came down to try to recruit him to the team. But after that, it was just like, he was always like, so I didn't really know how to feel about that. And I wish they would have showed more of like his powers. Like, cause when he's in the water, he was raw. Like, I thought, and again, this isn't a spoiler. I'm not gonna say no spoilers in this, but in the trailer, to where like you see like all like that big wave of water just coming. Like, I thought those scenes were cool, but I just thought they should have had more scenes like that with him like using the water, in these battles or whatever. So, I thought Aquaman was cool and stuff like that. I was kind of shocked at the way they did him, just going off of how I envisioned Aquaman being, but they should have gave more screen. But again, there's only so much, whatever the screen time they're given for the movie. And again, with DC movies, when Batman v Superman came out and it was over, like, people said, hey, the director's cut version has more cutscenes in it and stuff like that, and the movie's longer. So maybe it's the same thing with Justice League. They gotta, when the director's cut version comes out and it has more cutscenes and stuff like that, we'll see more cutscenes and might get more screen time with Cyborg, Aquaman, and Flash. You're telling a story revolving around these 6 heroes, and you're only given so much screen time. So I don't know how they could have avoided that. But I just felt like they should have gave more screen time to Cyborg, Aquaman, and Flash. Flash, I thought his scenes could have been way cooler, and they were cool, but, and again, this is me saying again, I don't know too much about DC. I don't really know too much about Flash, but is like, I don't know how he is fighting wise, but he didn't even like I don't feel like I could say too much. But for the people that saw the movie, like, I just thought they could have did more with that character and Flash, because when he's using his powers, like, those are some of the coolest scenes in the movies, but they didn't. I guess I just wish his scenes were cooler. Like, he was almost like the Ant-Man of... I don't want to compare... Again, I don't know how Flash is supposed to be like. I don't know too much about DC, but once again. But, he kind of just felt like that, in a Captain America Civil War. He felt like that Ant-Man character. Like, he was just there for those, like, fun, for those funny moments, just to add in some type of cheap joke line. But I just felt like Flash could have been so much more than that. I don't know. But again, maybe that's how his that's how his character is. But I just felt like what they were doing with him was just to add comic relief to the movie, but I thought he could have been so much more than that. One scene that I actually do want to talk about, this might be a spoiler, so, when I go like this, if you don't want to hear, I'll like keep my hands like this, like while I'm talking about it, and once I go like this, I'm done talking about it, okay? So, the coolest scene in this movie to me was actually dealing with Superman. I don't even like Superman. I think he's one of the corniest characters of all time. Never was a Superman fan, but the coolest scene with him, and I think it was the coolest scene in the movie, is when they bought back. This shouldn't even really be a spoiler. Like, if you don't know that Superman was going to come back to life and be in this movie, then the first, so I don't even think it's a spoiler, but just for the people that don't want to hear, when they brought Superman back to life, and that scene to where they're trying to calm him down with Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, bro, that one scene to where like he was holding up Wonder Woman, he was holding up Aquaman. I think Batman was like laying on the floor, and then Flash was trying to like use his speed to get behind him, and freaking Superman. That scene was so raw to me, bro. And so like Flash is trying to like get behind him, and then Superman, like, while he's holding, up Wonder Woman and Aquaman, like, you see his eye moving as he sees Flash, and Flash is just This is the Superman that I like to see. I don't like that whole, yes, I must do this for the city of Metropolis. Like, I've never liked that Superman. But when Superman has those moments, I think he's one of the scariest characters because there's literally nothing you can do. So that was the coolest scene in the movie to me. I mean, I didn't leave like the freaking theater like, oh my gosh, that movie was amazing. Did you see that? Like, I didn't leave it like that, but I left the movie like, okay, that was cool, you know. So yeah, I probably give this movie like maybe like a probably like a 7.5, which is not a bad score. Like, I don't know, we've gotten brainwashed to think that 7s and 7.5s are bad. That's not bad. I'd probably give it that. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I enjoyed the movie. I'm still more excited for Marvel. I'm still more excited for that because I'm more into the Marvel world, you know, as opposed to DC. But no, I thought Justice League was a solid movie. Some of those reviews that, you know, you're seeing on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know. Again, I don't know what people want from these DC movies, because it's like one crowd wants it to be like a dark, serious movie with a profound message behind it, and others like want it to be just like how the Marvel movies are, with the light tone humor and stuff like that. It like has to be perfectly balanced, or it seems like every DC movie gets crucified by the critics out there. But I enjoyed the movie. I definitely say that you should go out and see it and stuff like that. I'd watch the movie again. And that's a good thing, because when I saw Batman v Superman, no matter how cool some of the fight scenes were, I was like, I don't need to see this movie again. But with Justice League, I could probably go to the, you know, movies and see it again if I wanted to. But yeah, though, that's my review of Justice League. Did you guys see it yet? What did you guys think about it? Leave all those thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Also, you might want to, if you do see the movie, if you stay, you know, later, there's two cut scenes, of course. Some people, I don't know why some people, especially for superhero movies, you're supposed to know by now, when, you know, after the credits go off, that there's always a cut scene, like 95% of the time. But there's two cut scenes, so stay, you know, for those, and you know, you'll see some more stuff. But yeah, that's my review of Justice League. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Catch y'all in my next one, alright? Peace.